I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Ballston Spa Central School District Board of Education for June 1st, 2022. I want to welcome all those in attendance and those on the live stream. And how is everyone tonight? Excellent. Our emergency exits, should we need to vacate, they're behind me on either corner going to the outside, and they are the entrance doors into the hallway at the front of the library. I would ask that after the pledge, everyone remain standing for a moment. And now we will do our pledge. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to have a moment of silence for all the students and teachers killed at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. And a moment of remembrance for Katrin Fisher, class of 2018. Thank you. Please be seated. June is here, the final month of the school district year calendar. The month of social events, final exams, regents, induction ceremonies, class picnics, half days, celebrations, moving up days, and graduations. Tonight is a special night. We will recognize the academic achievements of quite a few of our senior students in several different pathways. What is remarkable about their achievement is the extraordinary, challenging, and rigorous courses and programs that it was achieved in. Truly the result of incredible hard work and focus on the part of our students, and an incredible amount of support and caring from all of our staff, and of course, the ongoing support of parents and caregivers. Looking at our audience of parents and caregivers, grandparents, family members, I recognize and know many of you. Board member Matt Dreher and myself have young adult daughters who are seniors this year. As parents and caregivers, we have all had the shared experience of watching them navigate the whole Ballston Spa education path. 13 grade levels, starting with their first school experiences at the elementary level. The excitement of being a big deal fifth grader. The reality of middle school sixth grade. The excitement of being a big deal eighth grader. The reality of high school ninth grade. Through the high school years, all leading up to the most important event of the senior year. And of course, I mean the high school graduation, though many may have been thinking prom. But the high school graduation on Thursday, June 23rd. Let's proceed with our agenda, please.
Dr. Duca and team, will you bring in the students, please?
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Slentz, thank you for tonight. It's a very exciting night for us. Tonight we're going to highlight several of our students who have excelled in various programs that we offer here at the high school. And so I would like to start with Nicole Stelly and the IB program.
We would like to recognize the 11 International Baccalaureate Diploma candidates for the class of 2022. The following students have recently completed a very challenging 2-year program of study, which is internationally known for its rigor and quality. In addition to taking IB courses, these students all finished a demanding 4,000-word essay on a topic of their choice and engaged in a range of extracurricular activities that encourage creativity, physical activity, and community service. The IB students were able to immerse themselves into various service projects over the last 2 years, from hosting a virtual running and Murph challenge to raise money for the Wounded Warrior organization, constructing a kiosk at the 100-acre wood trail system, to growing vegetables in the community garden to be donated to the First Baptist Church for those in need. We are truly amazed by all that they have accomplished. We know that they will continue to be lifelong learners and are prepared to effectively participate in an increasingly global society. Next year will bring a variety of different experiences, and we know that they will all continue to truly amaze us. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck. As I call your name, please receive your medallion and cord to be worn at graduation and remain standing at the front for a group photo. All right, first I have Zachary Baskin. He'll be attending Dickinson College in the fall. We have Natalie Chateauneuf going to Clarkson University in the fall. Maya Christie couldn't attend, but she'll be attending Marist College in the fall. Mallory Zimble is not with us tonight either, but she will also be attending, she'll be attending Clarkson University. I've got Andrew Eisler next, and he'll be attending the popular Clarkson University. Next, we have Maria Galarza. She's going to Hobart and William Smith Colleges in the fall. And Karina Greco, she'll be attending Siena College. And we have Noah Manglapis. He'll be going to SUNY Oswego. Mary McLaughlin couldn't attend tonight, but she's attending Webster University in the fall. And then we have Ryan Mullen. He'll be going to Liberty University. And lastly, we have Marissa Wettig, who wasn't able to attend tonight, but she's going to Stevens Institute of Technology.
Thank you, Mrs. Stelly.
Next up, we have Ms. Snow and Mrs. Carlson.
Good evening. It is an honor to recognize these 23 Ballston Spa students in the P-Tech program of the Clean Technologies and Sustainable Industries Early College High School. These Ballston Spa students have had the opportunity to engage in a regional program with students from 18 school districts that will culminate in their capstone presentations and graduation next Thursday. We're very impressed with all that they've done, and we look forward to see what they will do in the future. I will call you up by name, and then we'll have you get your certificate and go over to the side there for a group photo. Roman Audette, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Maxwell Christensen, who will be attending the North Shore Hockey Academy while finishing his degree at Hudson Valley Community College. Tyler Cook, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Zachary Ellsworth, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Jacob Finch, who will be attending Cornell University. Anthony Fiore, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Cameron Frost, who will be attending the University at Buffalo. Stefan Gaudin, who will be attending the University at Buffalo. James Hilton, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Sarah Holmes, who is unable to be here tonight, she will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Matt King, who will be attending Robert Morris University. Gabriel Larac, who will be attending the Rochester Institute of Technology. Isabel Layer, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Alana Lamas, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Thomas McManus V, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Nicholas Nistico, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Luke Orapollo, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Joshua Powell, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Nathan Renzi, who was unable to be here tonight, will also be attending Hudson Valley Community College. John Serena, who will be attending Southern New Hampshire University. Brandy Wallison, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Madeline West, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. And Tanner Wilson, who will be attending Hudson Valley Community College. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to have Mr. Flores and Mrs. Wilcox to talk about Sponsor a Scholar. We have a couple dual recognition, so we'll just wait for the photo to finish.
Thank you, Dr. Duca. Thank you, Board of Education, Mr. Slentz, for having us here this evening. My name is Mr. Flores, Kevin Flores. I'm one of the school counselors here at the high school. This is Lindsay Wilcox, another school counselor, and we're co-advisors of the Sponsor Scholar program, along with Marissa Bongo, who couldn't be here this evening. But we really just wanted to, take this time to recognize our seniors for Sponsor a Scholar. Several, unfortunately, couldn't be here this evening. Part of that is just the nature of the students that we're working with. Sponsor Scholar is really designed to support students who have to overcome some obstacles that maybe, some of their peers do not. And so this means that sometimes they have extra responsibilities and challenges that definitely keep them, busy and occupied out in the community. So several are working this evening and like I said, have other responsibilities. But I'm going to go through and read their names, and we do have a few here tonight that we certainly want to recognize. But some of the things that we've done this year, we've had a really great success rate and another great turnout in terms of students that we're inducting this year. The students go through an application process that requires letters of recommendation from their teachers, an application. They really have to kind of identify, what their goals are and what they want, and, the people around them that are going to help support them to do that. And so Mrs. Wilcox, myself, Mrs. Bongo, we meet with them every other week. We really support them through school, through their family situations, and the constant theme is on that post-secondary plan. What do they plan to do once they graduate, making sure that they have the right resources, and again, supports not only during school, but once they leave us and pursue those goals. So with that said, some of the students that could not make it tonight that I just wanted to recognize: Alex Albert, Brianna Brooks, Faith DeNoyer, Isabella Gilmore, Gatia Nassara, Dylan Sargent, Nicole Tinoco, and Sincerity Williams. And the first student that I'd like to call up is Aiden King. Aiden is going to be pursuing college in the future and hopes to major in game design. Congratulations, Aiden. Next student is Maddie West, Madeline West. Maddie, as you just saw, was in our early college high school program. She's going to be continuing with the P-Tech program at Hudson Valley next year to finish out, earning her associate's degree. and Tanner Wilson. Tanner was also in the early college high school program as well, and like Maddie is going to be continuing on at Hudson Valley for his 5th year, earning his associate's degree. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, I'd like to call Mrs. McTiernan and Ms. Sisk.
Good evening. Maintaining an average of 95 or above over the course of 4 years while also balancing the many other aspects of teenage life is already quite an achievement. These students managed to do it even through a couple of years of pretty unprecedented challenges among all of their other accomplishments. So first I'd like to call Anna Adams, who is going to the University of Vermont. Blake Bacchus, who is going to Holy Cross. Zachary Baskin, who's going to Dickinson College. Emily Chen, who is going to Stony Brook. Alec Darling, who was unable to be here with us tonight. Morgan Dreher, who is going to Macaulay Honors College at Hunter. Paige Dubiak, who is going into the honors program at Northeastern University. Andrew Eisler, who's going to Clarkson. Karina Greco, who's going to Siena. Emma Gerwitz, who's going to the University of South Carolina. Andrew Haight, who is unable, to be here this evening. Anna Harmon, who is going to Cedarville University. Adam Hodge, who is going to the University of Pittsburgh. Lauren Jesmain, who's going to St. Lawrence University. Kentaro Kasai, who is unable to be here this evening. And Sydney Leroy, who is unable to be here this evening. Catherine Loomis, who is going to the University of New England. Christopher McDonald, who is going to Clarkson. Noah Manglapis, who's going to SUNY Oswego. Taylin Markham, who is going to SUNY Geneseo. Aiden Miller, who is going to SUNY Buffalo. Sophie Miller, who is also going to SUNY Buffalo. Oh, I'm sorry, SUNY Binghamton. I apologize, hon. We have Taya Morelli, who is also going to SUNY Buffalo. Sophia Ostrander, who is going to the University of Rhode Island. Andrew Pastor, who is unable to be with us tonight. Allison Piscatelli, who is going to Lemoyne. Emily Robbie, who is going to St. Rose. Jasmine Roberts, who is unable to be with us tonight. Taylor Russell, who is going to Castleton. And then we have Albert Rust, Avery Satina, and John Sierzenga, who are also unable to be with us this evening. Emily Skillings, who is going to Springfield. Ruby Sorensen, who is going to St. Michael's. Mary Grace Sprisler, who's going to Stonehill. Christopher Stile, who is going to Siena. Madison Thomas, who is going to the University of Delaware. Stephanie Vukas, who couldn't be with us this evening. Maggie Waltz, who's going to the SUNY School of Environmental Science and Forestry. And Robert Welsh, who is going to Clarkson. 40 students managed to do this. That's pretty impressive. So if we could give them a hand.
All right, next up, I would like to call Natalie Chateauneuf, our 2022 salutatorian of the class. Natalie has excelled in a rigorous course load and is a full International Baccalaureate Diploma program candidate. By starting high school level courses in middle school, Natalie was able to enroll in 17 college and honors level courses. Natalie's cumulative GPA is a remarkable 99.079. Natalie is an accomplished individual who will be majoring in psychology. Natalie is a member of the varsity cross country team where she was named MVP and earned the Coaches Award. She also runs varsity indoor and outdoor track and field and takes part in the Saratoga Recreational Running Club. She has earned the Girl Scout Bronze and Silver Awards and is currently working on her Gold Award. Natalie is a publicist for the National Honor Society, president of Students Helping Students, and an active member of the Science Olympiad. She volunteers at Brookside Museum, Vacation Bible School, and tutors her peers in numerous subject areas. Natalie was selected to the American Legion Auxiliary Empire Girls State and the Hobie Youth Leadership Conference. Natalie will be attending Clarkson University in the fall to study psychology and computer science. Congratulations, Natalie. And now for our class of 2022 valedictorian, Jillian Furneaux. Jillian has excelled in a rigorous course load, and by starting high school level courses in middle school, Jillian was able to enroll in 18 honors and college level courses. Jillian's cumulative GPA is a remarkable 99.49. She's a well-rounded individual who will be pursuing a degree in mathematics. Jillian served as class president all 4 years of high school, in addition to being president of the Science Olympiad, treasurer of Tri-M Music Honor Society junior and senior year, a student government delegate, and a member of the National Honor Society. Jillian is a talented bass player, where she has been a member of the Symphonic Orchestra and Jazz Band since 9th grade, receiving all county and all area state selections. She also plays in the pit for troupe musicals and is a member of the Ballston Spa Community Jazz Band. Jillian is a unified sports partner and regularly volunteers her time as a math tutor. Additionally, Jillian is volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House, where she serves as a board member for their Team Ambassador program. Jillian will be attending Northeastern University Honors College in the fall to study mathematics. Congratulations, Jillian. Again, one more round of applause for all these students and their remarkable achievements. Now, these programs can't happen without the support of the community and the board, so I'd like to thank everyone for that. And that is all we have tonight, Superintendent Slentz.
Thank you very much, Dr. Duca.
Thank you very much. We'll have a brief pause in our meeting just to allow folks to head out. Thank you all for coming. Okay, we're going to resume our meeting. Next up in our agenda is our first session of public comment. Do we have anyone signed up for the first session of public comment? One moment while we check.
All set.
Okay, we do not. Next on our agenda, student government report. We do not have any representation from student government. Did anyone receive a report?
We have not.
Okay. Next up is our approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 4th, 2022 public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any amendments or additions to the minutes? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approval of the May 4th, 2022 public hearing minutes. May I have a motion to approve the May 4th, 2022 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Any
Second.
amendments or additions? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. May I have a motion to approve the May 25th, 2022 special meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any amendments or additions? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. Next, our superintendent's report. Superintendent Slentz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Furneaux. We've shifted gears a little bit tonight. We were going to go over the highlights of the year. We're going to shift that to the next meeting because we've received a number of questions, suggestions, observations, et cetera, about school safety and security, obviously in light of the Robb Elementary School tragedy that happened in Texas. As we go through this, just some of the common questions that have been posed to us, some of the concerns that have been posed. We want to give people access to some of the documents that we have, but I'll explain why that is limited for what I believe is obvious reasons. There you go. This stems from one of our 7 points of strategic focus. Student positive behavior and wellness. You know, we tend to think of those in terms of mental health and overall physical wellness. That physical safety piece of it can oftentimes be a terrible deterrent to our students to access the teaching and learning that's absolutely necessary to get the over 100 students, as we saw tonight, to get them through and have them access the multiple pathways that we have to graduation. Creating the safe, secure, and welcoming environment, that has to remain a priority, not just after tragedies, not just in hopes that we will never face a tragedy. We have to secure that envelope for our students and our staff to be in, so again, they can maximize the teaching, and the students can certainly maximize their learning that takes place. Anytime we have an unfortunately tragic situation like we saw in Texas, we very quickly come together as a team. What is it about what we're doing now, about our practices, that we can learn from the situation? So again, we continue to limit the opportunity that individuals have, limit the damage that can be done within our schools, and create, again, that safe and secure envelope. So shortly after the news broke, our group that's listed here came together. We heard from a number of parents some of their concerns and questions, and again, we're constantly asking the question, what can we do to improve? There's never been a meeting that I've attended here where we haven't come up with a list of things that we know we can do better, and then we put into motion for improvement. The plans in particular that we have, and we'll talk about some of the restrictions there, those are constantly evolving. Again, we have the general framework in place, but it's the refinements, it's the things maybe we didn't exactly think about, or we didn't think about that particular variation that may have happened in one of these tragedies. And again, we're brutally honest with one another where we're simply falling short. We know in these exercises, humility is the only rule that really matters here. So when we look at our safety plan, these are required by the State Education Department. A number of parents have asked for specifics on what we're doing within our schools to maintain that safe envelope. The bottom line is we can't tell them the specifics about that. We have 2 different levels of safety plans within the district. All school districts, public school districts in New York State have this by virtue of commissioner's regulations. The district-wide safety plan, which you can find on our website under the student safety portion of it, that's a general framework. That gives you a good sense of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. The building level plans are so specific that if we shared those, one could argue that's the equivalent of a blueprint for how to access and cause damage within our schools, to our students, staff, and our facilities. So we cannot, by commissioner regulation, release the specifics of those building level plans. Now, for parents and community members, you see evidence of what we do within those. You see the evidence of doing the various drills that we do. You see evidence of the capital projects that we're doing. For example, 3 years ago, I believe it was, when we put secure vestibules on the front of all of our buildings. That actually happened over the course of a number of years. Single points of entry, all of those types of things, those security features that we put in place to, again, minimize the access for anyone who is willing to do harm to our students and staff. The revisions, again, that take place, those were happening today as we think about, as we met with our district safety team, thinking about, okay, if that specific incident happened here, one of the biggest challenges is the reunification portion of it. As parents, our first instinct, regardless of what the district says, we want to get to our kids, we're going to get in that school, whatever it takes. That is the most unsafe thing that can happen at that time. So the reunification plan is something that we know we have to do a lot of work on, have a lot of conversations about, so people understand the value of that. You saw the media footage, for example, from Texas, where parents are in close proximity to law enforcement screaming at them, and they still didn't have a clear understanding as to exactly what was happening. So that puts everyone at risk. These are the types of things that we will have conversations with the community about, continuing to use the district-wide safety team to drive that work. And on that team, we have a number of representatives, parents, law enforcement, counselors, administrators, teachers. It is a diverse group that brings a number of good perspectives to us. So again, the work that's done at the specific building level, we cannot release that. It's not because we're trying to hide anything, but I hope everyone understands we simply cannot risk putting our buildings in harm's way by putting that information out there. One of the things, as I alluded to for the district-wide safety team, we rely on expertise, right? As educators, we have a very good sense of how to keep students safe, generally speaking, physically, mentally, having that overall sense of wellness. But when it comes to true security measures, that's not what we're in business for. That's why we rely on our strategic partners, particularly our two school resource officers who are just top-notch. The New York State Police, they are here at a moment's notice. We do have an advantage. A number of our local state troopers have children in the district, so they are vested in this work. The county sheriff, Sheriff Zerlo, has just been incredible in his support. There's nothing that I've asked for over the last 4 years that we haven't got from Sheriff Zerlo and his team. The Village PD, Chief Bush is on our safety team meeting, attends our safety team meetings. He too has a very unique perspective because again, Malta Ave is a very unique school district in terms of where it sits. We tend to think about this campus, the elementary complex, and there sits the very unique Malta Avenue. He brings that perspective to the table. Our school counselors and mental health staff just continue to become increasingly valuable in these conversations. We know we don't have a mental health issue in our country, we have a mental health crisis. And we have good evidence for that. The fact that this board has continued to support the addition of school counselors and school social workers into our schools is only going to benefit our students and families. Our school staff, what is the expertise outside of the curricular areas and the instructional areas for our school staff? They know our kids. When something's off, they can identify that pretty quickly. Talk with the counselor, talk with the administrator, and we can move fairly quickly based on our staff's knowledge of our kids. Certainly our parents. This has really come into play in the last week or so, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And researchers. Anytime something like this happens, there are a barrage of ideas of what we should do next. Metal detectors, clear plastic backpacks, no large backpacks. All of those things are understandable, but then we go to our researchers to say, in the research that you've done, in the studies that you've done, the observations of these mass shooting areas, would these things have made a difference? That work guides us. Again, they're the experts on this. We rely on them. The student behavior obviously is what drives these conversations. When we're asking our students on the positive side of things, as much as we look at our lockdown drills, especially the ones that are at odd times that are a little bit traumatic for our kids, this is all about practicing that muscle memory, informing the kids so the action is automatic. When something happens, we're in lockdown, it is silent, the lights are off, and we can minimize the damage that's done. Our kids are really good at this. When we look at situational awareness, again, something that unfortunately students in our schools today have to constantly be mindful of. Our staff has to be mindful of this. What are you seeing outside? What's different? Knowing the kids as you do, what's different about them? Who do you report that to? Gone are the days where they're just having an off day and they're just those excuse types of things. Not anymore. You've heard me say on a number of occasions, we give people permission to overreact. Let us figure out what's actually at the heart of it, but by all means report some of these different behaviors, these red flags that you're seeing. This again has come into play significantly because when we talk about the social media behavior, And the number of kids over the last 4 years that Dr. Duca and I have worked together, these lines are often what we hear when we confront the individual student for a posting that they've made on social media. Well, come on, you guys, it was just a joke. I didn't mean it. I wasn't going to do it. But what if it's not? And that's where we have to take every one of these seriously. We pursue it as far as we can to get to that point where, as we experienced with too much frequency in 2018-19, we can say there is no credible threat. And that is not our call. We are not experts on the credibility of these threats. Law enforcement makes that determination. Now, when we see students who throw up these red flags for us, quick conversation with a number of the people involved there. This past year, we developed a threat assessment tool. This was one of the recommendations from our experts to be able to say, this is something that you really need to have in place to ultimately determine the credibility or the risk factor of that student. We've probably, Dr. Duca, 6, 7, 8 of those this year. And they have been incredibly helpful in really working with both the student and the parents to figure out the level of threat that they present. The community network, I alluded to this before, we've had now 4 instances, one just this past weekend, where either a student and their parent caregiver have reported to us some of these red flags that I talked about. The latest one was significant and serious. And within 24 hours, the Sheriff's Department, because we weren't in school, the Sheriff's Department had the situation secured, the student was secured, the family was secured, and they shut it down. Typically, when parents and students bring these issues to us, as Deputy Becker was saying at our district safety team meeting today, 24 hours or less, we can manage that and coordinate with our professionals, with our experts, to get it shut down. And they move very quickly because our law enforcement partners like us take these things extremely seriously. Gone are the days, as I suggested before, where, well, these are, kids will be kids, boys will be boys. Nope. If you post something, you're responsible for it. So that moves us to the next one, the student discipline piece of it. We've had a number of students who are home right now because they've been suspended for poor behavioral choices that they have made. Now, there used to be a day when I first started as a superintendent where we really had very limited options in terms of what we could do for student discipline. Typically, it was just long-term suspension. You're removing the child from the social setting so everyone else is safe, but you don't know that you're not perpetuating the issue by sending them back into a home environment that may in fact not be supportive and safe. And so it was about 10 years ago, I think, 8 to 10 years ago, the laws changed on this. What we often do now, we will suspend a student out to a certain date, but we will condition their return on meeting between 2, 5, maybe even in some cases 6 requirements that may include, for example, counseling, psychological or psychiatric evaluation, drug and alcohol counseling. There's a number of things that we now have at our disposal to make sure that when those students come back, when in the high school case, Dr. Duca does the re-entry meeting with the students, we know the support that they've been given. We know that they're coming back to us in much better shape than they went out. Now, do we have recidivism in some of our situations where students will come back, everything looks okay, but then they fall into those old habits and make another mistake? That happens occasionally, and we deal with those with more progressive discipline. So from our safety plans to the experts that we have, our district-wide teams, the constant look on how we're evaluating these things. For example, Mr. Sirianni directed the maintenance department today to conduct a specific audit in one area that we just wanted to make sure, out of a lesson learned from Texas, there's one area that we just want to make sure that we are really secure about. They're halfway done with that. They'll finish that tomorrow. Again, I can't be specific about it because we certainly don't want to give an invitation to someone with ill intent. So that gives you a gist of where we are, the processes that we use. Again, I encourage anyone who has concerns, take a look at our district-wide safety plan that's posted on the website under the parent section, student safety section. You'll find that, and this presentation will be posted by tomorrow morning. Board members, questions?
With the new posting of this presentation, will there be a message out to the community just kind of sharing basically a summary of what you had and that this document is out there for their review?
I actually anticipate doing a short video with this so they can hear directly from me on it.
Okay, great.
I have a question.
Katie?
Are you able to speak about how many drills you practice in the different schools?
Yeah, so by state regulation, we have to do 12 8-fire drills and 4 lockdown drills. The conversation this week, and specifically today at the district-wide safety committee, we reminded people that's a minimum. We have one of our schools that's uniquely situated that wants to do more, but wants to do nuances on those. They absolutely can do that. We talked about the steps that would have to be taken. So right now we do 12, again, 4 of them lockdown. And now we're coming out of the pandemic where a lot of the lockdown drills were done by video. And so now we're back to doing them live. And so we'll have to re-practice the development of that muscle memory.
And are you able to comment on how often the team goes through and just spot checks areas, teacher classroom doors, things like that?
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? The classroom doors and some of the issues that facilities take a look at?
Well, I don't know how far I can go into it, but I'm not going to go too far.
Generally.
But yeah,
general.
we check that when we're checking doors, locks, just the general security and physical envelope of the buildings. And that's something that, we do all the time. We're actually putting together a schedule that will make sure that it's done and someone will sign off on it.
Okay, thank you.
And particularly after we do one of the drills, I've sat in, I think, 4 of the 6 schools where they've done the debrief afterwards. It is reassuring the level of detail that they get to, from a classroom not being marked with the correct number to a door handle potentially being an issue, those types of things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the questions, Katie. Yes, Matt? Our elementary SRO, she splits between the 4 buildings.
Does part of the plan address when contractors or vendors may be in a building?
Yeah, there's very specific rules that they have to follow when they're in the building in terms of identification, what happens when we go into a lockdown, et cetera. They are guests in the building. They are locking down just as we are. One of the challenges...
In terms of just escorts for them, making sure that they're following the same safety rules if they're going in and out of a building or things like
so
that?
When you think, for example, about our construction contractors being in and out, this is something in the pre-work meeting. We go through all of these level of details, what's expected of them, from dress code to behavior, things like smoking, and what the expectation is relative to when students are around.
Thank you.
Brian, would you add anything to that? Nope. Okay. All right, so I just had it there. Was that you? All right. I can't see it. Where's my start the slideshow? Yes, please. The next thing, and our safety and security is part and parcel of this. Again, board members are aware from the documentation that you have on a rolling basis, the information in terms of our progress against our strategic plan. You'll recognize this each year. We use this same template to keep us focused on our areas of priority and our goals, and it follows this logic path. Again, the strategic points of focus, those are the broad areas that we target, looking at specific goals, what we want to accomplish, how each particular area, the strategies that they're going to use to accomplish that goal, and then tasking members of the administrative team to deliver on that. The mission and vision, this is not new, none of this has changed. Again, the vision really defining that meaningful diploma. If in fact, as again we saw tonight, that's our expectation, the safety and security piece, as I suggested, is paramount. As you all know, again, our definition of this, of what we expect for our students, it's not simply getting that marketable piece of paper, it's making the individual marketable because they can accomplish all of these things. So the priorities, again, The first one is critical. I won't read through all of these because these have been presented to you a number of times over this year and in prior years. The strategic points of focus. Again, curriculum development, that sits at the heart of our work. And keeping in mind, we tend to think of just the academic subjects. You all know from the presentation that was done, the social emotional learning curriculum that we adopted at K-5, that they're now working with, Ms. Giagostino is working with the middle school team to start to transition that language, those practices moving into the middle school so we have increasing consistency in the language and the expectations. The instruction, this is something that, again, constantly trying to provide better instruction. This really, the biggest challenge with increasingly improving our instruction is time, right? Time is such a limited resource for us. And again, in the last 2 years, you'll have a day where there's buses that are short, and so kids are trickling in. That interrupts the instruction. All of the efforts that we make are trying to put that secure envelope around protecting instruction so we can maximize the teaching and learning that's happening in each classroom. Our assessments, again, making those consistent and making them consistent such that they are truly meaningful. Most of us as educators, and I've talked about this before, math teachers tend to be an exception to this. We were not trained on how to develop good assessments that meet two critical statistical rules. They are valid and they are reliable. There's a psychometric process that you go through to make sure that that's true so that you can make certain claims based on those tests. Our students are growing at a trajectory that we expect to meet or exceed grade level. Oftentimes you can't do that with a homemade test, if you will. It's interesting, it's informational, but we're limited on how much we can make claims based on those assessments. We already talked about this piece of it. The recruitment, retention, and development of personnel. You've seen over the last year and a half, in particular 2 years, we're bringing back more of our graduates. Students who have gone away, who have gotten their training, who have experience outside of the district, and now they want to come home. We've been in a fortunate position to promote a number of our individual staff members into higher positions. That's something that we've talked about in building that leadership pipeline. That's something we know we need to continue to do because the pools for quality administrators are a bit shallow at times. The communications piece of it. In the digital era, this is one of our biggest challenges, believe it or not. And you think about, well, we communicate often, with the things that we're sending out, but the biggest error that you can make in communication is thinking that you've done it effectively. Right? So that's why we brought in Capital Region BOCES to audit what we do to see if there's better ways that we can communicate. That will be ongoing work. And then the long-term planning, this is something that you all know Brian is really an expert on and keeps us in excellent shape, both in financial long-term planning as well as our facilities and the assets that we have. The goals for this year, again, all focused in the first instance around curriculum. Getting that common curriculum at the elementary level was so critical to what we discovered 4 years ago, where we had a good deal of inconsistencies, all well-intended, all well-meaning, but the accumulation of that then sent our students into middle school in very different places that we really couldn't cleanly track. And so the common curriculum, utilizing our ELA work group, the mathematics work group at K-5, that was within the first 6 months of our time together 4 years ago, adopted the programs that we have now. This is Bookworms in particular, and Eureka Math. Our social emotional learning curriculum is in there. Science, we're continuing to make progress with our science curriculum. Again, all common across grade levels, across buildings, all of which then feeds into our middle school, where we're finishing year 1 of implementation on that. Years 2 and 3, really getting that up and moving at a higher level, at a more rigorous level for both teaching and learning, and then giving our students every opportunity to really maximize the choices that they have within this incredible array of high school pathways that I've talked about before. For a school district this size is truly remarkable, and we saw good examples of that tonight. The RTI plans, this really falls under our multi-tiered system of supports. What do we do when the children are not learning? Okay? There was a time where most districts really didn't have a good plan. Students would go into an intervention and they would stay there for a year, which means they were denied opportunities to take other courses, to have other learning opportunities because they were in that intervention all year long, maybe because the master schedule couldn't be adjusted to allow them out, maybe because our assessment tools weren't good enough to be able to determine exactly what the child's issue was, how they were making progress against the goals that were set on those very specific issues, and what we would do to support them once they left intervention. That is not the case for us now in K-8, and certainly growing through K-9, as Dr. Duca started that work 3 years ago, really zeroing in on the specific problems, and Mrs. Skelly showed you some good examples of how that works in both reading and math. So we're in good shape there. We have a number of buildings, a number of grade levels where we no longer have students in Tier 3. I'm not sure there can be more testament to the incredible teaching that's going on, the curriculum that was adopted and is being implemented, and the constant pursuit of trying to improve on behalf of our kids. The assessment development, as I alluded to before, we're in very good shape with our K-8 assessments. High school is a very different animal because often that's driven by the third-party exams, Regents exams, IB exams, AP exams, Project Lead the Way exams. A number of our programs have those designed assessments already built in. The positive student behavior and wellness. You know, when we look at the K-5 SEL program, as I alluded to, that's now moving up into the middle school. We're in very good shape there. And again, I can't congratulate our staff enough. This is all happening over the last 27 months, where it would have been easy to be able to say, you know what, there's so much pressure on, this is not the time to implement a fairly significant battery of new curricula. But our teachers did it, they continue to do it, and we continue to see the positive results. We still have work to do, as I've suggested before. More training, more coaching, more refining, and we're already making plans for that in the coming year. The making sure that we have within our personnel, again, how we recruit, the methods that we utilize, the structures that we utilize to make sure that when we are in the interview setting, we dig much, much deeper to find out about the person than what they might otherwise present on paper or who their selected references might say about them. We're much more aggressive about that. And again, we've been able to hire some remarkable staff over the last several years as a result of the work that's going on. Communications, the Communications Committee reported out on this in April. We continue to follow the plan that was developed by Capital Region BOCES and their communication team. We do have one delay now. The goal was to have the website up and going by June. That will not be up and going now until probably December. One of the challenges is the staff that's available over the summer becomes very limited. And so instead of having Stuart sit in the back room and design all this, we've got to have staff input on that, so we'll roll that work into the fall. And then the long-term planning, Brian presented to you December, I think it was, the long-range financial plan, and we continue to encourage not just board members, but any community member who's worried about our fiscal health moving into the future to take a look at that. And then the last piece of it, our school culture and climate work that really sits, the foundation that sits underneath this is the diversity, equity, and inclusion work from the State Education Department. We take it back, though, to that safe, secure, and welcoming environment to make sure that all of this work, that the purpose of it really generates that positive school climate, that teachers can focus on teaching, students can focus on learning, and we minimize the distractions that are going to otherwise prevent students and teachers from being able to do that work. That framing is ready. We still have one report that we want to have posted, and that's our attendance data. We have challenges in every building with attendance, and that's been true for the last 2 years. So that's something that we want to have hard data on so we can get to work on that. All of these things, you know, this is what we have in place for support. Again, the board has been very generous and supportive in what we've put in place. We have a couple additional changes based on some movements within this diagram that we will be making over the summer in recommendations to the board. You know this one. This is my personal favorite. The kids have to be able to read at or above grade level. We just know far too much about what their trajectory is if they can't do that. That's the last one with the MTSS. Questions on our progress? Again, you have more detail on this within our shared folder, the BOE superintendent, on the tracking for all of these goals. Again, your continued support. This is a ton of work, folks, and that you have provided financial support, philosophical support, sometimes spiritual support to us when we get down a little bit. But really, the delivery of this is happening in each building. The administrative teams, the faculty and staff, and what they're doing with our kids to go into these data meetings. Boy, it's hard not to put your nerd hat on to see the progress that our kids are making because of the work that the staff is doing. And that is it from me.
Questions, comments? So just a reminder to everyone, you know, this has been a multi-year effort, a multi-year program. And as we saw this year with the middle of year and then the end of year assessment results from the elementary schools, that's the kind of presentation and information that we are going to partner with our district leadership to continue to provide us through next year, through the year after, have that expanded into middle school and high school as well. But you know, we need to let the program take place. We need to have the students have multiple years under the program. And again, we should just continue to see improvement on top of improvement. And we will just make sure that we have those presentations to the board members so that we're able to see that and track that. Anything more from the superintendent's report?
No, sir.
Next up on our agenda are committee reports. I do not think we have committee reports. There is going to be a policy committee meeting before the next board meeting on 6/15. Correspondence to the district.
School safety and security has really dominated our correspondence. There has been some recent concerns around Furbies or fur babies in the middle and the high school. Statements that we are providing litter boxes in the nurse's office and various places within our buildings to accommodate these students. I spoke with a parent today to reassure him that under no circumstances was this actually happening. So again, any concerns that parents have, we are asking them to communicate directly with us, particularly before they go, or specifically rather, before they go and post something on social media that has not been fact-checked by us. And student behavior is the third category that we've had communications on.
Thank you, Superintendent. Correspondence to the board. We had one related to library materials, and we had one which is a thanks to the board for the bike donation from the board for the Health and Wellness Day. Next up, announcements. Mr. Williams.
Thank you. As you heard reference to earlier, I believe the prom is coming up on Friday night, June 3rd, with the after prom party back here at the high school following that. Next Tuesday is our National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony. It's the middle school induction ceremony, and that'll be here in the high school at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, June 7th. Next Thursday on the 9th, we have our early college high school graduation and student presentations in the morning, 8:30 a.m. out at TechSmart. Followed by early afternoon, we have the Sponsor a Scholar ceremony here within the high school. And then in the evening is our senior awards ceremony at 7 o'clock, all on next Thursday, June 9th. On Friday, June 10th, we have the Malta Avenue School-Wide Art Show, 4 to 6 in the afternoon at Malta Avenue. And our senior send-off parade is scheduled for next Friday, June 10th at 7 p.m. So again, we'll have a big senior send-off parade going through the village at 7 o'clock next Friday night. On Monday, June 13th, they will have the Rti Music Society inductions. So we'll get that done on Monday, June 13th, again, 7 p.m. here at the high school. And then the last day of classes for the high school are on June 14th, which is right before your next meeting on the 15th. So that's it for the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Stuart.
Other announcements? And board members, in front of you, you have an invitation to the Clean Technologies P-Tech graduation next Thursday. Also in our folders, there was a document that had moving up ceremonies for all of our elementary schools, and the high school graduation date looked like this. I will endeavor to partner with the superintendent to try and continue to send out reminders to all about all of these events. And certainly you are absolutely welcome to attend any of these events that you can. Please just send communication in to the superintendent if you would like to, or if you think you will be at any or all of these events. Old business.
None from us.
Okay. On to new business then. I have motion to approve resolution number 531, approval of 2022-2023 Board of Education meeting dates.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to share that there was a document that has the entire meeting schedule in your folder. It is consistent with years past. A reorg and first one only single meeting in July, then meetings in general on the first and third Wednesdays of each month. In the month of February, one meeting because on the second Wednesday because of the school vacation. And other than that, it pretty much follows form with all prior years. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 531 passes. We have a motion to approve resolution number 532, award of emergency contract food service program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 532 passes. We have a motion to approve resolution number 533, award of bid, science supplies.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 533 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 534, agreement, professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 534 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 535, agreement, professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 535 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 536, request for proposal, attendance zone study.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If you would, Superintendent, can you just again give us a summary of this RFP and what we're trying to accomplish here?
Sure. The attendance zones were established many, many years ago. The district, as we see in our Who Are We report, has evolved fairly significantly, becoming much more diverse than when the attendance zones were established. We are seeking a firm to come in to take a look to see about the distribution of our students, to see if there are better ways, more equitable ways that we can distribute our students, see if at the same time there are more efficiencies that can be gained in transportation, in how we pick up our students, and then to have the conversation with the board about recommendations which may be you're as good as you can get right now. It may be significant changes. It may be phased changes. There are a variety of outcomes that can result from this. But the biggest thing is that it's been a long time since we've established these. It's time for us to take a look.
Thank you. And am I correct that this is absolutely just the first step in quite a process here, and absent any other recommendation from you're not going to need to change a thing, there will be an entire process, communication strategy, opportunity for input, discussion, etc., on any changes to attendance zones and where students may attend which school. Fair?
Fair. Just for example on that, you don't say, for example, next year we're going to change this. You actually go out until all kids currently in the system are moved through, so you're looking at a specific cohort down the road when the new model, if one is recommended and approved by the board, would start.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 536 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 537, field trip, Spanish exchange program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm coming back to be a chaperone for that trip.
I might too.
Applications for chaperones will be accepted at a certain point in the process. I just have a comment. It's just absolutely wonderful to see this resolution here in front of us and getting back to this type of activity that is absolutely an enrichment experience for our students, a great path for them is just absolutely wonderful. Note we're out to basically almost a year from now, a year minus a couple of months, March 2023, but we absolutely hope that this can happen. Any other questions or comments? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 537 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 538, placement of students with disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 538 passes. I have a motion to approve resolution number 539, placement of preschool students with disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 539 passes. Resolutions number 540 through 556 are recognized as a consent agenda for the purpose of Board of Education action. May I have a motion to approve resolutions number 540 through 556?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to note that Resolution 540 is accepting the resignation of Superintendent Slentz, currently effective 8/12/22, pending any possible change. There certainly will be time and moments where we will properly thank and recognize the superintendent for his tenure with us. And other than that, are there any appointments that have attendance?
Yes,
members?
543, we have a number of our team members here who are up for tenure. If I could ask all of you who are on the tenure list to stand up, please, to be recognized. And we will do a proper celebration on the 22nd with all of you, so congratulations in advance.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, anything we need to point out on the consent agenda? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Consent agenda, resolutions 540 through 556 passes. Certainly thank all of those who have these appointments for summer curriculum work, appointments for summer support services. There are literally hundreds here. Thank everyone helping us have a great summer. We do not have a walk-on. Any other new business?
None from us.
Okay, we're now at the time in our agenda for the second period for public comment. Mr. Williams, do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you. Do we have any representation or presentations from our associations?
None are here tonight.
The PTA.
Yes, so as mentioned before, after prom is this Friday. There are still slots available for volunteering, so if any parents would like to sign up and volunteer, get in contact with the high school PTSA. In addition to that, there's a senior barbecue next Wednesday, June 8th. They're looking for help with desserts and beverages, so once again, get in contact with the PTSA.
For those of you who haven't experienced a Ballston Spa prom, just going up to the city center and watch the kids come in, it really is a fantastic night. So if you have the opportunity, we certainly enjoy that and would encourage all of you to stop in and take a look.
Also, great turnout on the band and the chorus over at the high school.
Elementary school, yeah.
Football field.
Yes.
It was incredible.
We did have some concerns about parking, and there was some comparisons made to having more people in attendance than at homecoming. So I think we've created a little healthy competition there, but it was a fantastic event. So thank you to Mr. Reddersdorf and the music team for that.
And just a clarification for the prom event at the city center, guest visitors, they're not allowed into the prom itself?
Correct. If board members want to attend, just send me a note, and Dr. Duca and I will keep an eye out for you when you come in.
But in terms of parents, caregivers, other community members, they're certainly welcome to see the entrance, the red carpet, if it were, as it were, into the prom, which starts at
7:30? 7:30.
7:30.
8 o'clock? Okay. I'm there at 7:30, so that's on my calendar.
All right, so red carpet, 7:30. Thank you. All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you,
you all.
everyone.